Hi everyone, it's Miriam Ortiz y Pino here with More Than Organized, and welcome to the November Q&A session. It's very exciting. This month I actually ended up with a bunch of questions. Sometimes I get a lot, sometimes I get a few, so I'd like to jump right in. Right after I remind you to check out the website morethanorganized.net. Actually, the free opt-in offer on the website right now, the 1-minute mail solution kit, comes with this handy-dandy workbook, the Get Control of Your Mail in 1 Minute or Less workbook. And it has several of the things I'm going to be talking about tonight in answering the questions. So it could be a handy-dandy resource for you if you want to sign up for that 1-minute mail solution kit. That's where you get that workbook. You also get an audio where I explain the whole process step by step. But a lot of the questions this time were about how to deal with some papers and especially mail situations. So, excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze. I've got allergies going on today. So let me just start this. So let's get right to it because we have a lot of questions this time. So the first question comes from Margaret, and she says, she replied to the email I sent soliciting questions that said, you asked about areas of concern. Mail management is a big one for me, especially appeals for donations to charities. I've made monthly donations to some high priority ones, but that doesn't stop them from imploring constantly for special occasions, and it's hard for me to throw away these appeals. There is so much need in this world. I am retired and lucky enough to have a pension and health care, but not flush with funds, so I pile up the appeals until I can go through them all at once and pick a few for additional donation. Any suggestions? I didn't even mention the magazines, newsletters, which make up a whole other chunk of mail I'm loath to dispose of until I read. Thanks. Drowning in paper. All right. So let's talk about these. First of all, the appeals for donations. Here's my best thought process on that. They're going to send you one after another, after another, after another, anytime you have already given. And that's just the way the campaigns work. They're automated in a lot of ways. You get it in the mail, but it's automated. And the same thing is happening via email these days. You get more and more emails every time you donate something. So just know that you are in control of your money. It's your decision who you donate to and when. The fact that they need more now is not really your concern. Your concern is, how can I make my money do the best or most good according to by taking care of myself first and then donating as much as I can after that to areas that are of concern and interest to you in particular. And I know a lot of my friends are very concerned with what's going on right now and have a lot of different interests. So pick your top, say 3 to 5 charities to donate to or causes to donate to, and give a bigger amount to those at your convenience, whether you do one per quarter or pick one a month, and give on your schedule. That way, when the appeal comes in, you just toss it because you know you're going to send the check to them on your schedule in your own time when it's convenient for you. That way, all that stuff can go directly into the recycle bin, okay? I know it seems hard. The specific thing they're asking you about or the story they're sharing to tug at your heartstrings to get more money out of you is really none of your business. Your business is, how am I going to use my money to do the most good? Those appeals are written specifically to make you feel guilty about not giving more. So ignore that part of it, because that's how they get people interested in the first place. Once you're giving to a certain organization or you're comfortable with a certain organization, you can give as often as you want. You can try calling and seeing if they'll take you off their list, but really most of that appeal process is very automated, and they will reach out more anytime there's something severe going on that they need help with. So just my best advice is do it on your terms and ignore the stories of appeal, because that's designed to get more out of you. Does that make sense? So it can go, instead of piling up where you then end up overwhelmed and guilty, just say, I've given to these guys, or they're already on my list, and put it into the recycle bin. Now, in terms of getting off junk mail lists, there's a couple organizations I recommend, and I just double checked one of the ones I've been recommending for years, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with them. I've always recommended 41 pounds in the past, and their website seems to be down right now. It says they're currently working on it, but I haven't looked in a while, so I don't know how long that sign has been up. So keep in mind that that may not be valid anymore, but it's the one I used to recommend. There's also Green Dimes. These are services that will take you off as many lists as possible. And I liked 41 pounds because you could pick which catalog listings and things you wanted to keep versus the ones you wanted to eliminate. And it saved a lot of time and effort to be able to control that in one place. But their website seems to be undergoing some changes. So fingers crossed it comes back. Green Dimes is also a good one, but they are paid service. So either one of those is good. And or just look at Google how to deal with junk mail these days. There's several layers you can go through. If you do the DMA.gov situation, it is a partial solution. So you have to fill out one of those cards or a form for each of the variations of your name and or address that come to you. So, Miriam Ortiz y Pino is kind of a complicated name. Last time I checked, there were 27 different versions of the way things appeared in my mailbox, and I had to have a card for every one of those. And that card only lasts 3 to 5 years. I can't remember what it is right now. And so you have to re-up a lot. So just keep that in mind. It takes a lot of diligence and vigilance to stay off junk mail lists. And sometimes it's just faster to rip them in half and throw them in your recycle bin than to deal with actually getting off the list. So that part's up to you. The drawbacks are also you have to do separate version of getting off lists for any financial stuff. So credit card offers, insurance offers, and financial planning offers are a whole separate category that have to be dealt with in a different way as well. And like I said, donations do not show up on any of those things. Charitable giving is a whole separate category, and there's no way to actually get off of those. So choose how you want to deal with that. All right, what else do I want to say about that? I guess that's all about the giving donations and the junk mail stuff. In terms of the magazines and newsletters, those again are kind of your choice. Pick which magazines are super important to you, and I bet those are the ones you read. And the other ones may be ones that used to be relevant for your career, or you used to have more free time to deal with that particular hobby, and over time you've changed interests, or you just don't have as much free time as you did to read at certain points in your life. So those you can occasionally add your subscription from one magazine onto another one that you actually read. So pay attention. How much is piling up? What is a good level for you? Are you 3 weeks behind on Time or Newsweek? That's kind of a lot of time when it comes to a weekly magazine. Are you 3 months behind on an archaeology magazine? That's not going to be as big a deal because that's a slower moving topic. So keep up with it in terms of a rotation system, but you get to pick how often you want to rotate it. So if you find you have a year and a half worth of The Atlantic that you haven't read, maybe you should get rid of the Atlantic subscription and focus more on reading the New York Times every day, or whatever your trade-off there is. Pick your sources and don't feel bad that you can't do them all. Times are moving fast and information changes hourly lately. So don't feel bad when you can't keep up with the magazines and newsletters, but pick which ones are important to you and make the time for those and let the rest go. Okay. And in terms of loath to dispose of until you read, think of it this way. If you still had magazines about financial planning from before 2008, which sometimes my clients do, and they think they're going to do it, the entire world changed in 2008. The entire world changed in 2001. The entire world changed in 2016. So what do you do with the information that's no longer relevant? It's not relevant to read it anymore. It doesn't apply anymore. Unless you're writing a historical book about what's happened, what happened last week is no longer relevant in most cases. Okay? So think of it that way. You don't have to keep up with everything. Keep up with today, what's affecting you personally today, and you're good to go. Or researching a specific thing you're doing. So pick your favorites, let the rest go. All right, I hope that helped, Margaret. And I hope that the 1 Minute Mail Solution Kit also helps you deal with the rotation of flow of information in and out of your life. All of the suggestions I just gave also apply to email. So if you're struggling with a very full inbox, that's the same kind of thing that applies there. Don't feel guilty about not reading things you didn't request in the first place. Okay, second question. Look at that, 10 minutes, one question. I don't know if I'm going to get to all the questions today. All right, Susan asks, or mentions that she has several collections of things. Some are very valuable. Wants to know how to get good prices for them and find the best way to get rid of them. She has things like Shona sculptures from Zimbabwe and Native American fetishes are two of her big collections. Okay, so there is a very deliberate way to deal with collections, and it depends on what you want to do. They can be donated. So you find a museum, a library, a school, a foundation that deals with those kinds of things. Or you sell them via auction or consignment or eBay type sale, Craigslist type sale. The drawback of online sales is you have to take a photo, you have to upload the image, you have to put a description, you have to know enough about technology to feel comfortable with that. And then you have to monitor the stuff and you have to be comfortable with figuring out how to get the item to the person that ends up buying it. And then you have to figure out how to do the pricing and the research on all that yourself. The second way is to have to find an appraiser for each of the different collections. And a good way to, I don't really know someone specifically about Shona sculptures from Zimbabwe, but there are places you can go. You can talk to people at the university and in the anthropology and the art departments and see if they have recommendations for appraisers. So you can do that in your local area as well if you have a different kind of collection. You can call the auction houses and estate sale people in town. Many of the estate sale people are actually also appraisers. And so that can speed up the process depending on your time frame. And you don't have to wait till you're actually dead or moving to have an estate sale. It's helpful if it's at that point because people will be traipsing through your house. But you can deal with having a bigger kind of sale, liquidation type sale, and get it to auctioneers or estate sale people in your location. There are a few other things. Sotheby's has locations around the country, and some of the larger antique auction houses have people that can, you either send one piece or photos and they do a preliminary depending on how much you want. And then often collectors will buy a whole lot from you at maybe less than you could get from selling each piece individually, but also a lot faster. So when you auction things and do collections, there is a lag time of usually 8 to 18 months, maybe even 2 years, depending on the thing, for it to get appraised, put into an auction, and sold. So just know that there's a timeline involved. And again, you get to choose if you want to donate or sell. But the first step would be to get some sort of an appraisal to see if it's worth the time and effort to do that, okay? And there are a couple giant auctions around the country that are specifically for like the Native American fetishes. There are some big cowboy and Indian style auctions that happen around the country. So you may be able to get them into one of those, or, you know, we're in the Southwest, so there's a bigger, larger secondary market for those out here. Hope that helps, Susan. Again, it's start with dealing with each collection separately, or calling one of the estate people, and they may have someone that can appraise both at the same time for you. That's what I would do. I'm big on, let's do it the fastest way possible. Start with the appraisals, ask the appraiser if they know where to go, and then go from there. All right, question number 3. Linda says she's in the process of downsizing, and her biggest stressor is where to go with various items that are not just throwaways. Not talking about the paper, but should I go consignment or charitable type thrift store? Certain of these places take or not specific things. Yes, many places have very specific lists of things they'll take. She's not comfortable with eBay because she doesn't want buyers coming to her home or to ship it. And it takes time and effort to figure out sources for usable items like cameras, gardening, and etc. Okay. Again, I'm lazy. I am not big on spending a whole lot of time finding specific places for specific items. That's why I take everything to Goodwill. In various locations around the country, Goodwill acts as the clearinghouse for the United Way. And here in New Mexico, that is the case. They take the stuff, and if other charities within the United Way organization need specific items, they are taken from the Goodwill donations first. Then the other stuff is taken to one of the 3 or 4 different levels of stores that Goodwill has, or put on the, if they're more of a collectible, they will pull it for their online auction site. Oh, that's another thing you can do with some of your other collections and things you want to get rid of. There are online auction sites these days that will do like a web-based auction of items in your home. So it's kind of an estate sale, kind of an auction, but it's run virtually. So those are kind of cool. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what it's called, but I can figure it out and put it in the comments for you guys. So I go to Goodwill just because it's easy. They take it, they do the sorting and getting it to the right people. So 2 other things I want you to consider. If you have something that you've been involved in, like if you have been involved with the Animal Humane Society, by all means, take as much stuff to the Animal Humane Society as they will take. If you have been a proponent of getting the homeless off the streets and that kind of thing, take all your housewares to their thrift store or their program where it helps set people up. Or if you've, whatever your pet project is, take it there first. But if you don't have one or you have a lot of different ones, try Goodwill, one of the bigger places that will just take it. In terms of the tax deductibility, it's a lot of work to line itemize things. And so check with your accountant about what they think is worth itemizing, because the other thing is you're not getting full deduction of how much you paid for an item. You're not even getting half. You are getting fair market value in a thrift environment as your deduction up to certain levels. So I haven't checked this year. I don't know what the levels are, but let's just say like under $500, you don't have to itemize. So for the first $500 worth of stuff, you could take a $500 deduction and just donate everything. But if you're donating a whole lot more, it would be worth itemizing. But each pair of pants is worth like $3, $5, $6, depending on your local market. They're not worth the $80 you paid for that pair of pants. Designer pants have no difference than Walmart pants when you do a donation. It's just pants. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. And do it as easily as possible and a little bit of time. Do the easy stuff first. Go through your own closet, go through your own kitchen, take that stuff to Goodwill, and then you deal with the collections on the other end. So you're getting rid of the easy stuff as quickly as possible, get it out of your way, work your way through it. Okay? All right, I hope that helps. I know it sounds like a lot of work because it is a lot of work. You've piled up a lot of stuff and now you got to get rid of it. And that's just the way it goes. But taking it to Goodwill makes it one stop instead of 12. But again, if you have favorite charities, do that and work it into your routine. So you're just kind of regularly taking those donations. I drive through with stuff for my clients about once a week to Goodwill. So there's that. Okay, so this is kind of a question. It's just kind of something that came up. I have a client that actually accidentally got on my list twice. Somehow, like she had signed up and forgot. And when I asked her if she wanted to be on the list, she's like, yeah. And so we used a different one of her emails. And then all of a sudden she realized she was getting two. So when you find you are interested in something and you sign up and maybe months later you realize, oh, I didn't get that other offer, or for whatever reason you end up on people's lists and you're getting more than one email from people in your inbox, just click on the unsubscribe of the one you don't want anymore. There's often an unsubscribe button on the email you're getting somewhere, and you just click that and it automatically unsubscribes you. Occasionally there's still some spammers, there's still some old school people that are sending emails, bulk emails from servers that don't really let you unsubscribe easily. Just ignore those, just delete them or click them as junk, and then you won't get that one anymore. And you'll get the version that you want. So you can stay informed without unsubscribing to both. The software automatically unsubscribes you only from whichever email you're clicking in. So if it's the one you don't want to get anymore, that one goes away. That helps if you have two different emails. Okay. Oh my gosh, I think I'm going to get in all the questions. And then Rick asks how to dispose of old computers. Well, that depends where you are. Again, you can take them to Goodwill, takes used electronics. Here in Albuquerque, you can put the smaller ones. So I don't know how big your old CPU or whatever is, but you can put smaller things like iPads and laptops and things in your bin, your blue recycle bin. Different locales have different things. If you have the big CPU towers and things, you can take them to the solid waste management, or in your location, your local town, you can check for what your solid waste service in your town accepts. Sometimes they take electronics only a couple times a year. Sometimes you have to take it all the way to the solid waste station where they'll take it. Goodwill does take them though, and you may have other electronic recycling options in your town. So that's what you do with those. If you have data on there that is stuck on there, which many of my clients do, they break and they think, I'm going to take that data and put it on the new one. If you've had someone do a data transfer for you already, just let it go. If I live in the secret state, I work with a lot of clients with various clearances and things. Please take those computers back to your job sites to get the secure information off of your computers. If that happened, you know what happened to Hillary. Don't want to have that happening. But if you don't have your clearance items on your computer or whatever, just donate it. It's or if you're super worried about it, there's various ways of running magnets over it or taking it to a computer store where they will eject the scary part and you can melt it in the sun or take it to somewhere and smash it. But basically, I just put mine in the recycle bin. Okay. All right. So, I have about 5 minutes. I can actually answer one backlog question here. All right. So Darlene says, does anyone? Oh, hey, Giovanna. I'm so glad you are here tonight. I didn't do the best at telling people about the alternate time today, so thanks for showing up. You have a question today? Time for one live question if you're still there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and assume Giovanna is just kind of listening in the background, and I'm going to answer Darlene's question that she emailed me a couple weeks ago. Says, imagine this scenario. You're in your office working on a client project that has a tight deadline, and your office phone begins to ring, your computer just announced that you have new email in your inbox, Twitter notifies you, or you get a retweet, or you hear your children arguing in the other room, how do you eliminate all those distractions or any type of distraction for that matter? Well, you plan for distractions is the best way. So on your phone, you can actually go to settings, and it will have all your different apps in the settings under sounds or notifications, and you can turn off all the sounds. You can turn off all the different kinds of things. Some have various levels. You can have a banner, you can have a flashing thing, you can have it just on the desktop. You get to pick. I turn them all off. I don't have any notifications. I have to go into everything and check notifications to see if I have anything. My email doesn't ding. My phone is rarely turned on. My email notifications and stuff, I can see the number, which is the badge notification. I leave the badge notifications on. That way I know if I have to check it, but I don't check it. I don't know what to do about your kids. You could lock them in the closet under the stairs, maybe. They might still be kind of loud, but really you have to plan. So how are you going to deal with that? Are your kids screaming in the other room because you failed to give them enough to do, or the two shouldn't be in the same room at the same time while you're trying to work? Or what happened that they're arguing? Maybe they're just having fun and making a lot of noise. Know that they're going to do that while they're awake, and plan around that. But in terms of the phone ringing, the notifications, turn that stuff off. That helps immensely. Plan where you are going to work as your work client project thing, and say to your family, I can't be interrupted right now. If it's a problem regularly, maybe you need to use a co-working space on those bigger projects, that kind of thing. But it's about planning ahead, and choosing not to answer those things. So answer your phone, answer your emails, answer your notifications on your own terms. I spend 40 minutes a day on email. Once 20 minutes in the morning, I clear it all out, and then I answer a couple times during the day, and I check to make sure nothing urgent came in at a couple points during the day. But otherwise, it all gets answered at the same time every day. Same with my phone calls. I plan when I'm going to make my phone calls, and I do them for 20 minutes when that time is, depending on the day. Often first thing, often last thing. But whenever that plan is, I answer those in that time that I choose to answer those. So, and then I check in on my social media usually once a day. I have some automation things, so it seems like I'm on there more often, but really I'm checking in first thing in the morning and a little bit mid-afternoon. And then sometimes in the evening, I just kind of do it a little more for fun, for the interaction. But I check in a couple times a day. I don't look at every single time it beeps or a notification comes in. I don't respond in real time usually. Just try to keep up regularly. Okay, hope that helps. Just pre-plan the distractions, and let me know what questions you might have for December. The holidays are coming, people. The holidays are coming. And we will get to those and a few of the, I think there were a couple other questions that were a little bit redundant on this, and then I still have a few backlog questions that I will answer next time. Don't forget, check out morethanorganized.net. You can get a lot more detail about how to deal with your mail and email in the 1-Minute Mail Solution Kit. It's all about the connections and how to think of the flow of the paper and the information through your life, and it makes it very easy. There's really only 4 things you can do with your paper, so check that out to figure that stuff out. And thanks again for showing up. I will see you again next month. We'll see if this time was better for people or not. I'll wait for some feedback on that before I pick what time, but it's always the second Thursday of the month. I do a Q&A session. I've been doing it for years, although this only recently has it been live on Facebook like this. So very exciting. All right. Thanks for showing up. Talk to you later. Bye.